Version 4 of Grok is now officially available for free. And this AI is actually very efficient because in terms of speed, it ranks third overall. Not to mention that its reasoning ability is excellent. It's just behind the regular version. And for everyone working with APIs, you can see that the cost is extremely low. What we're interested in is whether we can replace our usual AI, Gemini or ChatGPT with Grok 4 Fast in the coming days. Because, as usual, reality is often quite different from the benchmarks we see. In terms of interface, Grok 4 of course looks like all the other AIs. On the left, there's the contextual menu, and in the center, the way to send our prompts, generate images, and chat. Note that there's a small voice module you can find here, and of course, Grok is capable of generating images. By the way, we're going to test whether it follows this ultra simple instruction properly. I'm asking it to generate a photo of a knight in 16:9 format. The execution speed is absolutely insane. These two images took 13.7 seconds. Now, just so you know, the first image is absolutely not good, but the second one would be perfectly usable. The result is actually pretty good, although a bit messy. But hey, let's give it a higher quality prompt as well. This time, I'm asking it to make me an ultra detailed cinematic 9:16 image of a knight in full armor. Just to give you an example, just to give you an idea, I'm giving this same prompt to ChatGPT right now, and it still hasn't finished generating the very first image. The result here is actually very usable. So as usual, we can see that when it comes to details, for example on the links right here, it's not perfect. But in any case, it's more than enough to make TikTok videos like POVs, I'm a knight in the Middle Ages, here's my life, or simply to have illustration photos. And what's really impressive is the speed of execution. Because if you're working on a project, if you're a graphic designer, if you're making flyers, for example, well here you only have to wait 15 seconds each time to get your result. You save a huge amount of time in your productivity. Of course, it's not the most perfect image in the world, but it will already work very well in most cases. Similarly, let's see if it can generate quality logos. I asked it to create a modern and minimalist logo for my startup, Lunesia. In this case, the result is only moderately usable, and that's actually one of the major issues with all AIs that generate images. Generating letters is extremely complicated, and there are very few AIs that know how to do it. If you want to generate logos, I really recommend Leonardo. They are the ones who have mastered logo generation the best. Oh, by the way, if you're passionate about video and AI, I've launched a school, a forum with a complete training program that will allow you to learn and achieve this kind of result. And in the forum, everyone can interact, help each other out, all in a great atmosphere with passionate people. I'll also leave the link in the description for you. Alright, so what about text? I'm going to ask it to generate a 1500-word article specifically about the release of Grok 4 Fast, which is now free for everyone using a prompt that tells it not to sound like an AI. And it's already actively writing the comprehensive text, meticulously citing all relevant sources with clear and distinct H2 headings, and it genuinely seems to be hitting the ambitious 1500-word target that we specifically asked for. And there you go, it took 42 seconds to generate this article. Overall, it's pretty good, but it's not very readable. Let's see if it knows how to edit its own work. So I ask it to bold some words, add subheadings, examples, quotes, bullet lists, just like a real blog article. And now it's working on it. And indeed now we have subheadings, bullet lists, bold text, and overall a pretty high quality article. There's even a comparison table, and the length of this article is just right. Now in terms of phrasing, well, it still sounds a bit like AI. Nevertheless, by refining this prompt, I think we can achieve a pretty nice result. The important thing to note here is that it manages to rework its previous output and above all to properly incorporate the new feedback. And here at the same time it only took 27 seconds to generate all of this. And to go even further, we're going to ask it to reason through estimates and complex tasks. Recently, I had some fun doing this to estimate rankings in horse races. So what I did was copy and paste here all the horses and jockeys in the race. I took a screenshot, and I also included the names along with all the conditions, weather, wind, temperature. And then I gave it this mega prompt that allows it to reason based on the attachments I provide and to do research on the internet, on the latest news, to find out, for example, how a particular horse is doing lately. Has the jockey here won recently? And are they good in certain weather conditions? And see if it manages to reason and give me a ranking. And you can see that even though this is a fast version, we get real internet research, a real comparison between the data. And it's true that when you give numbers or figures to Google or ChatGPT, they're often way off the mark. Whereas this one, on the contrary, manages to make estimates that are actually quite consistent. So it directly gave me a ranking with probabilities, fully understanding what I provided in the image, plus the reasoning from the prompt, plus an internet search. And likewise it recommended to me, based on my requests, which are actually quite complex this time. Well, complex for a prompt, of course. We're not talking about a major scientific research problem, but still complex enough to get tangled up. And a large portion of AIs definitely wouldn't be able to solve this properly, but Gemini did. And after checking the entire text, it answered almost 95% of all the questions I asked it. And again, it was able to give me this in 98 seconds. That means that even 5 minutes before the race, I can easily select all this information and run my estimate. Of course, this is absolutely not advised to make this kind of bet, but it's a great demonstration of Grok's execution speed on a fast problem. And I wanted to show you all this because I know that many of you pay for subscriptions and sometimes multiple subscriptions to ChatGPT, OpenAI, Gemini. Well, with this solution you have something that's actually very fast and very reliable. The tests I showed you work very well, but I did about 20 other tests beforehand and it's pretty good. So, as long as you're at it, this lets you save money and have an AI that's fast and efficient. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and your projects. Ciao.